We're here in the children's garden at the Morton Arboretum with Sarah Court, who is one of two horticulturists here, and you got to lay off the pizzas, Sarah. That's all I got to say. And it's a fabulous place, not just for kids, as you can tell, because I'm excited to be here too. What's the goal of everything you've constructed, including things like this, but you surround them with plants, so is the idea to draw kids with these and then they look around and say, hey, they're growing things too?
The goal is really to provide a place for kids to come and connect with nature in an informal way. So outside of the classroom, just being able to come here and play and come into Backyard Discovery and feel comfortable like they are at their own home, and be able to play on playgrounds and in ponds, but then also be surrounded by nature.
And insects.
Insects,
you don't know this, but a Japanese beetle just landed on your head and then flew away. But obviously you have flowers and you have shrubs and you have trees, but you also have vegetables.
Yes, we have some growing gardens here where we grow vegetables and ornamental flowers, as well as a windmill garden where we grow a crop of Illinois every year. This year is soybeans. And we have volunteers that help us with that, and they're middle school and high school aged volunteers. They're called the Gardening MacGyvers. It's an acronym, Morton Arboretum Children's Garden Youth Volunteers. They come a couple days a week and they help us garden the vegetables. They get to take home the fruits of their labor, and they have a really good time, and it's a way to connect them with nature even as they go into their later years.
What other kind of features do you have?
If you asked any kid, I think, what their favorite part of the children's garden is, it may be the water features.
I like the treehouse.
They love the frog pond over here. It has spitting frogs in it, and they can reach in and pick up pebbles and play in the water. There's also a waiting area up at Wonder Pond where kids can walk across the stepping stones and interact with the water and the plants. And there are lots of tadpoles in there in the spring. It's a natural occurrence. The frogs, the American toads, come in on their own every year.
I don't want any foreign toads,
yes,
okay?
Can
we please have American toads here? Yeah.
And they lay lots of eggs, and so there are hundreds of tadpoles that kids can pick up and look at and make sure that they put them back in the water. So there's lots of volunteers there.
And that's interesting because nowadays kids, they don't see tadpoles anymore.
Right,
I mean, I know when I grew up, you could wander a few blocks away and there'd be pools and ponds and you'd see them.
Yes.
A lot of that stuff is gone.
Right, yeah. It's very exciting for a lot of kids. It's the first time they actually get to interact with something like that.
And then there's the tree houses.
Right.
That's my favorite.
Yes, lots of tree houses with rope bridges that you can walk across and stairs to climb up, and kids just have a really good time up there.
Well, I think I need to investigate some of these places myself. But before I do that, let's toss it over to Jennifer because she's at this fabulous maze.
We are in the Overlook Tower at the 1-acre maze garden at the Morton Arboretum. And I'm with Tiffany Howell, who is the horticulturist here. Tiffany, this is phenomenal.
It's pretty fantastic.
And especially this wonderful sycamore that's behind us here.
They based the maze around this sycamore tree, and it has been babied since the maze was even thought of.
Phenomenal.
I'm not sure, I wasn't here when this was built, but I've heard that they actually air spaded out the roots to see where the main roots were going before they built all of these towers going in to make sure they weren't going to disrupt the tree.
Excellent.
And put everything back. It is lightning protected. This cable you see here, there's actually 3 cables. Since there's 3 trunks going up, there's 1 cable that goes up each trunk to help protect against lightning, and then it's grounded here. And they have boxes that they come around and check after every storm to see if it got hit by lightning or not.
Wow.
And it's also treated for anthracnose every 3 years.
Excellent. And that was the first thing, and I noticed no disease on this tree this year. And it's injected. They inject the control into the trunk, so it really takes care of it. Beautiful. Now, you were telling me there are the different evergreens that are here that make up the maze, and then there are several rooms of deciduous plants. Go ahead and describe those.
Yeah, so most of the maze is yew, taxus. There's actually 2,500 plants of yew in this maze. There's a few arborvitaes that help separate, add a little bit of height variation, but then there's 7 deciduous rooms, including bald cypress, forsythia, lilacs, dogwoods. There's some grasses, actually, we're experimenting with making those a hedge. So we've got a board at the front where kids can come and see the different rooms, and they're all numbered. So it tells the kids to go through, see how many rooms you can find, see if you can get to all of them. So it adds a little challenge to the maze instead of just playing.
That is fantastic. Now, I noticed you have to do some pruning. How often do you prune to maintain the hedges in the maze?
We shear these twice a year, once in June and once in September. And I usually have 6 trimmers going at a time, and it takes us 2 mornings.
Fantastic. Well, let's go get lost in the maze now. Well, we had so much fun at the Morton Arboretum.
I don't know what you're
Garden.
talking about.
Well, and fun is great, but learning is also really important. And the Learning Center at the Chicago Botanic Garden is absolutely excellent for that. I love the raised beds that they use. So
Well, you walk in, first of all, and you see the living wall.
what a great way to just get the children's curiosity going.
Well, and some people call it vertical gardening, and this wall is made pretty much all of sedum. And sedum is a great plant if you want to do some vertical gardening.
And it does need a lot of extra water when it does that. Absolutely.
Which is part of the reason they use it, I suppose.
And then you've got the raised beds and the working tables for the children to be able to focus on the plant lessons that they'll be learning.
Well, and they have access too. If you have a wheelchair, you can roll it right under, and you're right at the level that you can do your own gardening at some of these work tables. Even rain barrels. You can learn about how to store water and then use it in the garden. I love the way they have the rain barrel concealed in this little wood case.
It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful and fascinating.
So stop by the Chicago Botanic Garden if you want to teach your kids a thing or two about gardening.
After the break, we've got Mike in Denver with the Cool Wave Pansies and wonderful gift ideas for gardeners.